It's Thursday, the 24th of November, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories in 5 minutes. Let's jump into it. Story number 1, Qantas expects a boom Christmas period as travellers shell out for higher airfares, pushing the national carrier's expected pre-tax profit for the current half year up to $1.45 billion.
Yeah, not bad given that this is the airline that lost more than $6 billion during the pandemic. Things have certainly turned around, and the 6 months to the end of December will be the first profitable half year since before COVID. Now, the group upped its profit forecast by about $150 million yesterday. Essentially, customers are putting travel high on their priority list, the things that they want to spend money on. Even if they can't travel overseas, they will travel domestically. The strong return means the carrier will be able to pay down another $900 million in debt, which means it'll owe about $2.3 billion. Share price was up more than 5% yesterday, and it's up about 45% since July. Pretty good. People just don't care about the cost, it seems, at the moment, and Qantas is taking advantage of that. The average discount fare on a Melbourne-Sydney flight is $258. That's about 50% higher than earlier this year. The full rate is closer to $900. Quite incredible. The fact that the number of international flights has been capped means people are travelling more domestically. Also, Qantas's performance has improved markedly. Last month, 74% of Qantas services arrived and departed on time. That was the best of the airlines. Now, a lot of that's because it spent about $200 million investing in extra staff and keeping jets on standby. Now, it's free market, Michael. Qantas suffered during the pandemic. I don't really have a problem with them making money, but as consumers, the best thing you can do is plan ahead. Don't make last-minute bookings.
All right, on to story number 2. Australia and China look set to resume regular high-level military dialogue as the thawing relations between the two nations continues.
Defence Minister Richard Marles said China's willingness to re-engage was expressed during a bilateral meeting between him and his Chinese counterpart on Tuesday. China ended military talks in 2019 at the height of tensions between the two countries. Those tensions eventually triggered $20 billion worth of trade sanctions on Aussie goods. Just quickly, while we're still in Canberra, Michael, the bill to expand childcare subsidies passed through the Parliament yesterday. It's good news. Yesterday, we talked about the government's IR bill. Looks like the definition of a small business will be expanded. That means anyone with 20 or fewer workers won't be caught up by this multi-employer bargaining issue. And also, the government tweaked its electric vehicle bill, which should make EVs cheaper somewhat for some consumers and businesses.
That's good news. All right, story number 3 is pretty confronting news, Sean. Australia will experience an increase in extreme heat, intense rainfall and coral bleaching events, as well as longer fire seasons and more rapidly rising sea levels. This is all according to the government's chief science and weather agencies.
Yes, the pessimistic report released yesterday will add pressure on the government to take stronger action on climate change. The CSIRO and Bureau of Meteorology said rising greenhouse gas levels are causing the climate to warm and extreme weather events to become more frequent. The report was sobering reading, according to Environment and Water Minister Tanya Plibersek. Australia has warmed on average by 1.47 degrees Celsius since 1910, and ocean temperatures around the country have risen by 1 degree Celsius since 1900.
All right, on to story number 4 now, Sean. And BetaShares is a supporter of this podcast, and they've produced a monthly ETF review for October examining where investor dollars are going in the Australian ETF industry.
That's right. Flows in the exchange-traded fund sector are a pretty good indicator of investor sentiment. And with the broadest range of ETFs on the ASX, BetaShares can track where money's flowing, which investments are proving popular, etc. There was plenty of money flowing in October, with share markets staging a comeback. The Australian ETF industry grew significantly. Industry assets under management was up nearly 6% to about $131 billion. Big in anyone's language. According to BetaShares, investor dollars were spread broadly across major asset classes. Aussie equities had the highest flows, also money going to cash, fixed income and global equities. The October ETF flows, according to BetaShares, highlighted investors' long-term focus on building wealth for the future. This is reflected in the strong monthly flows into BetaShares' own ETFs, the Australian High Interest Cash product, and the Australia 200 ETF.
Yeah, and you can find out more in the BetaShares Australian ETF review, available on betashares.com.au. Now, on to story number 5, Sean. Last one. I'm a big fan of anything that means I don't have to actually go into a supermarket anymore. So this is good news. Coles has cut 30 minutes from its click and collect service and promises to get grocery orders ready for collection in under an hour.
Yes, that battle for convenience. It's certainly heating up. Coles launched its rapid click and collect offering yesterday at its next generation supermarket in Southland in Victoria. That supermarket is its largest collection points, trialling a bunch of new technologies, things like digital scales. Customers who use click and collect in under an hour can order from an extended range of more than 20,000 products. Now, the big issue with much of home delivery and click and collect is that it's a limited range. Coles says 20,000 products is many more than most of its competitors. In fact, Michael, you can even get a hot roast chicken.
And if that's not good news, I don't know what is. That's it, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Thursday, the 24th of November, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough for you, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed on your podcast platform. And don't forget to check out our other podcast, How Do They Afford That? All about, this week, side hustles, making a little bit of extra money on the side. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.